This is a concerning video, and as a Minnesotan concerned about election integrity, I am pissed. If you haven't seen the video, it's James O'Keefe and several other self-described guerrilla journalists that went to a Minnesota precinct to try to show how you can vote fraudulently with up to 8 other people in the Minnesota elections. And yes, they did it dressed this way for reasons that will become obvious in a minute, but the point is, James O'Keefe went to a Minnesota precinct as a non-Minnesota resident claiming to be William Pomerantz, an actual Minnesota resident in that precinct. I tried to call him. He didn't give me a call back. I'm assuming he had nothing to do with this. But then James O'Keefe, as William Pomerantz, went on to say he would vouch for 8 other people, also dressed up, also not from Minnesota, that they would be able to vote too. When I first saw this, I thought, holy shit, this is bad. But then I watched it again, and my actual journalism instincts kicked in and realized this is all smoke and mirrors. Okay, so stay with me now, because there's a lot of nuance to this, and I know nuance doesn't do well on social media, but it's important to understand how elections work and why what you're seeing in this video is a total lie. There are 2 issues that we need to track with this, one being the vouching system in the state of Minnesota, and 2, same-day registration in the state of Minnesota. So let's understand the context again. James O'Keefe goes into a precinct. He says that he's William Pomerantz to the election judge. They look at the name, they see the name, but he does not actually sign a voting form. That's key. We'll come back to that in a second. The voting judge also says that he can vouch for up to 8 people to vote along with him. What does vouching in the state of Minnesota mean? Well, it does not mean IDing the person as the person that they say they are. Vouching only suggests that that person lives in the same precinct as you. So if my neighbor Dan happens to be in the polling place with me, I can say, yes, Dan lives in the precinct. That's all I can vouch for. I cannot vouch for where he lives specifically or that he is who he says he is. That is on him. What O'Keefe does is he says he's William Pomerantz and then vouches for these other people to vote. Now, what the video doesn't show you is what doesn't happen after. Now let's talk about same-day registration and why that's important. In the state of Minnesota, yes, someone can vouch saying that you do live in the precinct, but that unregistered voter has to provide identifying information to the poll worker before they get a ballot. That would include either a driver's license number, a state ID number, or a social security number, so that the state can verify they are who they say they are. When the state cross-checks that and there is a discrepancy, it gets investigated, punishable up to 5 years in prison for voter fraud. Oh, and James O'Keefe also could face 5 years for voter fraud if he did what he said he did. Here's a key point. At the end of the video, O'Keefe says, we didn't sign anything, which means A, he didn't actually register to vote, and B, the others didn't actually register to vote. He just went in getting poll workers explaining the rules of the election, but not actually following through on what would be a felony in the state of Minnesota. This is where I get really upset, because these are not serious people. They are trying to manipulate you. They are funded by people that are trying to manipulate you and using race and religion to try to stir up hate that anybody that watches this is going to walk away afraid that there is voter fraud in the state of Minnesota. And it's absolutely not true. They're manipulating the facts and they're making you believe things that simply aren't true. The state of Minnesota has one of the most secure elections in the nation. We have paper ballots to ensure that votes are counted correctly. We have safeguards in place to ensure that there is not voter fraud at scale like you're seeing in these videos. So I am begging of you, please share this video. Please talk to your friends about the facts. Can we agree to stand up against this misinformation and BS that's trying to undermine our elections? Because the fact is, if we lose faith in our elections, we will lose our country.